Welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games. We are in for another one, Lorinda. It's the United Kingdom versus Italy. And here we go. Both teams have got Warrior. I don't expect this one to be much faster than the last, so I hope you are ready for a long old series.
And I hope that the United Kingdom are ready for a long old series. More to the point, they have just spent a whole percentage of their life playing that last match of Hearthstone. And after all that humdrum, they've got to do it again. They've got to keep themselves going for the Italy game here. But Dead Draw, of all the Hearthstone players in all the world, is one of the guys who can just keep playing Hearthstone. And I think that will stand them in very good stead here.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, as we've been making very clear, these games are pre-recorded. They were played throughout the week, and I hope that they had a break between their previous game and this game. I really do, because you don't want to be playing those back to back.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a long one though, even if there was. So, both shamans get banned. So dig in, everybody, and see how this turns out. But I do like the UK's lineup for this group in general. They did lose to Italy the first time around, though. They've got the Malygos Druid rather than the regular Druid, which works out well against the Warrior in particular. So does the other Druid, but even better. And same with their Quest Shaman. Same deal. Quest Shaman's so good against the Warrior, although it didn't look it in that last one. Whereas the Token Shaman, not so much. But it sort of balances out a bit because the Shamans ended up getting banned. And now we're going to get to see the glory that is Hunter taking on Druid. Very tough for the Hunter to really do enough.
It's going to make a nice change, though. This game feels already like a breath of fresh air compared to what has been going on over the last few games. I'm going to just double...
We've got loads of stuff later for you, by the way.
Absolutely. We've got the whole of Group A coming up.
But Group A is full of paladins and mages and all those other things that people forgot were classes in Hearthstone, as well as quite a few hunters as well. It's all kicking off later. Yeah, there's a few of those shamany guys that no one really cares about in there, but there is a lot of different stuff. There's a Resurrect Priest. It's all coming up, but this is the most important game at the moment, and one of the problems for the Hunter against the Druid is that the Druid doesn't really struggle to worry about these secrets. Hunter, in the early game, very much targeted removal to a large degree. And the Druid can go quite wide, and it can proc secrets without too much of a loss because of all the value it gets. It's not so important to them.
Something I'm just looking into very quickly is the previous match between the UK and Italy, because worth noting, it was a 3-0, the previous match, where Italy did take down the United Kingdom very swiftly. I'm looking at the bans, and the bans and shields look the same. Shaman banned on both sides in the previous game, and Hunter was shielded for the UK, and Druid was shielded for Italy, as I now look into this series. Yeah, it's the same. Same shields, same bans. So hopefully something goes a little bit differently for the United Kingdom here, or we could be looking at another sweep.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for the United Kingdom. Their Hunter is superb against two of the decks, and not so much against the Druid for me, and they've queued it into the Druid. Just another reminder that despite the fact that Boar Control has his normal game face on anyway, as in the slightly salty, slightly exasperated face, he did want it known that the players could see each other in the call they were in. And so he did make an extra effort to try not to give anything away.
The players could they could see each other.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
So he apologises for his lack of, I don't know, demonstrativeness, if that's even a word, during this, but he was making an extra effort to have some sort of poker face on during this game. Which is weird, because you've got to talk to your teammate and to keep a straight face at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it changes things dramatically, and I wish that we'd known this a little bit sooner, because actually, we have seen players celebrate, and we have seen players grimace, and I wonder how easy it is for them to forget that they should be hiding their emotions.
Yeah, and we don't know if it was the same for every match. It probably was. I don't see why the setup was changed. But Boar did make it clear that for their match in particular, this was the situation.
I wonder.
And already they're in the position where Druid is about to start doing its thing, and the Hunter is totally not in a position to start doing anything good. The discussion here will revolve around whether they want to coin Zul'jin because time is of the essence, or whether they want to play ball controls. I don't know, it's almost a signature card after how this year has gone. The Subject 9 card that he championed way before anybody else, I think. Letter's hand is looking super to me. They're going to get a good Feoris off on 10, which is something that I always harp on about, but it makes such a big difference if you can actually get something out of that card. You get so little out of it so often, and when you do get something, the Druid is so much more powerful.
I mean, I agree with you. I in both respects there. Yes, you do mention it a lot, but yes, it's warranted because I think it's something that a lot of the players do overlook. And they sort of try and squeeze as much value out of it as possible, whereas a lot of the time just jamming it on turn 10, even just with 1 or 2 spells in the hand, that can be enough.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just big enough stuff to suck some more, remove some more cards out of your opponent's hand, and get it out of your own hand, which won't matter so much against Hunter that often, but clearing your hand up is a big deal when you do start to get towards the business end of the game. So yeah, just play the card, don't be greedy. Reminds me of the old Shade that Druid used to play. 2/2 stealth that got bigger every turn. And people used to use its stealth the whole game past the point where they died and everything.
Shade of Naxxramas was a nutty card at the time.
Yeah. And the number of people who played it badly was absolutely... It was probably the worst played card that Hearthstone has ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a reasonable assessment.
Because people just got greedy with it. And don't forget, it's a slightly different era back then.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of people still playing to the value that accompanies other card games and hadn't valued tempo as well as they do now. But even so, it was pretty grim. And yeah, using the traps to their advantage here to get another LA Surger.
Yep, can never have too many of those things, especially as Letter reaches turn 7 next turn, so there's just 2 more 5/5s for free, essentially. Now, Ball Control, facing down a 5/2, which you can deal with quite easily, even just with the 2 minions, if it, hit the weapon into the face, charge both minions in. But this hand is looking big and messy, and it's one of Ball Control's favourite types of hands, because it's covered in secrets.
Yep. And the rest of the deck, of course, will be remarkably pure and lovely now. So they've got their turns 9 and 10 planned out. Call of the Wild into Zul'jin is superb. And something that we haven't seen happen much in HCG this year. People have had real trouble with their Zul'jin not being really doing anything. So survival is the premium right now. One of the keys to these secrets when you have them and your opponent knows you have them is to make it awkward for them. As in, try to make them play one turn where they play around something you don't play, and this is why pressure plate might be being kept back. And then they'll play around the pressure plate, and then you play it after they've played around it. And so they have to play around it twice.
Yep, that is where, I mean, Counterspell is another secret with very, very similar mind games back in the sort of Tempo Mage days, where as soon as you make your opponent play, I mean, it's always secrets that sort of target spells, isn't it? Like, you have to work really hard to play around it and then potentially play around it again. But here you go. It's going to be a flooped out Oasis Surger alongside a Crystal Merchant because Letter doesn't feel that he has enough cards in his hand right now.
Behold, jewels of
the sands. Italy have really curved out nicely here.
Yep.
And they're still keeping back all that removal, like you say, they've got plenty of cards to operate with. Unleash Beast is a nice pickup. At worst case, it fills the gaps in for turns 7 and 8. Call of the Wild on 9, Zul'jin on 10. The question then becomes, is that enough? But it's all they've got, so it's going to have to be enough.
Job done.
All right, so full hand from Letter, full of possibilities here. Second third Oasis Searcher, I guess, has got to be worth considering. Along with Starfall. Starfall isn't great here, but it's also not bad.
Yeah, it's all about how they feel they're standing right now and how greedy they can be. They're just going to keep battling with minions versus minions by the look of it. Obviously, with any removal spells, the longer you can be greedy with it, the better, but don't overdo it. They do only have the one hidden Oasis, which is standard, although some teams have brought two. So they've got to look after their health total a small amount, but it's in their hand, so they're in no hurry to not take damage. They can deal with a Bran, is the big deal right now.
All right, and pressure plate comes down now. They're going to have to continue to play around it, and it's not impossible to play around now with, you know, MC Tech and Wrath and Innovate things in the hand. But Feoris gets slammed down. 2 5-drops, a 6-drop, a 2-drop, and a 1-drop, all being summoned. Now that's a good Feoris, Lorinda. Whoa! Mortuary Machine.
Yep. Oof.
Wait, is it whenever a minion is summoned? I think it is.
I
So
believe it's
Call of...
played. Let me just double check.
Oh, it's played? Okay.
Oh, we think the opposite.
Because if it's summoned, then Call of the
That's wrong.
Wild
Yeah,
is insane.
yeah, it's after your opponent plays a minion.
Okay,
so
okay. Whew, let's all
Just
calm down
double
for a
check.
second.
Yeah, otherwise that would have been nutty.
Just
Cost
Huffer with
themselves a
Reborn.
wisp by playing it early. Quite correctly so. And what they want to do is play Call of the Wild here, but just so they can play a better Zul'jin. If they don't, then Zul'jin's coming down on 11, so you've got to factor that in. Because the reason I keep harping on about it is that's their only chance to win this game. But first of all, they've got to clear up this absolute monster of a board.
I mean, Call of the Wild is a start, you know, removing 2 of the minions there, putting up a big fat taunt in the way. There's still the pressure plate that needs playing around along with the other secret. But Letter is able to keep going with this damage here.
Yeah, I wonder how much they're considering just little things now, like Unleash, etc., because they could just play a couple of Lotis and sit there and have the world's biggest ever Starfalls. And that would basically be game in a lot of situations. And Unleash isn't a lot, but when you're down to the, well, we're going to win this, you start worrying about what things can beat us, and Unleash is one of those things that, in some worlds, could possibly be irritating. But not really. Not scared to leave Mortuary Machine on the board. And down to 7. So yeah, good luck with everything. Zephyrus not active, gets the yellow glow around it when it is, which won't be long away now, I'm sure.
Nope, agreed. That Mortuary Machine's still alive, but hang on, with Siamat, that's interesting.
Ooh,
So,
that's
the
a
problem...
fruity Siamat.
Well, the problem is with Siamat with Reborn is that when it comes back to life, it doesn't have its Divine Shield, Rush, Taunt, Wind Fury. It's just a 6/6, which is kind of reasonable. I mean, Divine Shield, Rush, trade it into the 6/6. It's still there as a 6/6 with Reborn. All right, let's just go. Zul'jin, what have you got? What's in the box?
Imagine if it did have all the stuff back. It comes back to life with all the stuff. Oh, it'd be crazy. I'd love it. Yeah, the box is kind of been left out in the rain, and it's all gone a little bit soggy.
This does not look like a soggy box to me, Lorinda. Oh.
I just don't even want to comment on that. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, but obviously the double Starfall will deal with things worst case.
I mean, come on. Come on, ball. Come on, ball. But, there we go. Okay. It's like, there's only one real option there, right?
Yeah. Given that your deck is a Highlander deck, automatically active. Is there a card they can get from Expedition that just wins the game and puts everybody out their misery here? After the misery of the last round. It's not that miserable when you win, obviously, but, you know.
I don't... I mean, Starfall is premium, right? And there's already 2 in Letter's hand. Like, low-T
yeah, the
Starfall...
secrets are remarkably irritating. They can definitely clear, they can definitely keep the game going. They're on 25, they should be fine. I just wonder if there's an instant win with anything, but I don't think there is.
I mean, I don't even mind the Starfall now, just to proc the pressure plate and to... Oh, but Freezing Trap, yeah, sure. And there's Snakes, but then Starfall does its thing.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Feels like this was a safe play. I think if they had a long time to think about it, there might even have been better plays there, but this was one that just works. So play the one that works. Don't mess around with that rope. I've seen too many teams have accidents with the rope in this tournament.
Hello, Ragnaros.
Mm.
So, okay, the problem for Boar is the Loti in the hand.
Yes, that he knows about.
Yep. As we can see, there's actually 2. But yeah, that is a slight issue. Like, you can't just play Ragnaros and deal 8 because it just dies. And you know it does.
Yeah. And we know it really dies. However, you can keep the Ragnaros. Maybe getting the 8 in now is as good as you're going to get. If they play Loti into Starfall, which you have to assume they have some removal, it gets passed back to you and you can start again, except your opponent's on 17 and you're in a very similar position to where you started. It might not be the worst.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Oh, they've concocted something though.
Put your faith
They get there with a Tyrion.
Sure. I mean, Tyrion doesn't just die to a Loti charging in because it's got the Divine Shield, so I guess it makes sense.
Well, the weapon's always super handy as well with Tyrion.
So does Letter have a way of dealing 7 damage to the face? I don't think he does just yet.
No, I think so. I think there are probably ways available if the Zephyrus was active. I'm sure there's ways available if the Zephyrus is active.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's not. Loti into Fireball being one of them, but I'm sure there's plenty more. And somehow the Hunt has held on here. The second wave of secrets has done good work.
Innovate, Loti's still not active. Letter going to go ahead and play the second Loti now, rather than the first.
Yeah, activating the Rat Trap. And stealing the Tyrion, because why wouldn't you?
Innovate Crystal Power has got to be worth considering here. Just to get rid of one of those, the 4-2 or the 2-2.
You did see Bora actually, something that he did say about the cameras, he didn't overreact or react like he would normally have wanted to, which is probably good for him actually. He sort of threw his head back and then continued to say, well, nothing to see here, we're still fine. And I wasn't afford to be able to understand almost exactly what he's saying there. But yeah, maybe Letter and Turner don't.
Your magic shall not save you.
And that was a bit of a final throw there for me. If that had gone wrong, I think they were in a lot of trouble. Waiting for their own Zephyrs to become active. Yeah, I mean, Elise isn't active either. You don't really want to play as a minion. Not a fun turn.
What to do?
Might be tempted just to play the 2 Anubis Ants as 5 drops here.
Okay.
Which also isn't fun, but sure, if it's
It's
2, 3, 5 taunts for no particular reason.
it's just fine, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Which is
sure,
better.
play one and play the Loti. Fine, you know. Like the aim of the game now is to win in a couple turns. You're not under any threat of dying yourselves anytime soon. It's like an awkward 3-5 to defend the 4-3. Really nice.
Yeah. I mean, you're just winning any time that your Zephyrs becomes active. Very important Ragnar shot here. If you can take out the Loti can't take out the Ragnars. Obviously, they can still kill it with the crystal power, but control is pretty much re-established by Italy after that Tyrian steal, I think.
What to do?
I don't think there's any big reason not to just go super wide here. It's just a case of how you want to deal with the Ragnars. Do you want to use your Starfall, or do you want to just trade in your Loti?
It's a good question. Pressure plate's long gone, right?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Okay. In that case, Starfall seems.
I think so, anyway. I do. Yeah.
Well, I mean that works, right? You end up with 2-5
Yeah,
and a 3-5. I don't know what Boar is doing to survive this.
Yeah, I think they've got to the point where most things work after the Tyrian steal. And it looks like Italy are going to win another game. That'll be 4 in a row against the United Kingdom. Looking good for that top 8 slot, where they will be joining Norway from this group, whoever goes through. Czech Republic, Denmark, Chinese Taipei, and Hong Kong, all already in that top 8, which will be in the new meta.
It's looking like a really exciting top 8, honestly. It'll be exciting to see which of the teams later today makes it through as well. But there you go, with the 5 damage on the board and the crystal power. I believe that's just lethal.
Yeah, I've lost track of what the secret is, and it looks like Italy may have done too. Unless, I'm assuming they know actually, and we don't. Because otherwise, they would have just won.
Yeah, not sure what's going on there. I don't. The last few attacks went through fine, so it can't be freezing. Am I being stupid? I'm sure Crystal Power was just lethal there. Are you looking up the card as well?
I am, yeah. Because I thought the same as you, but must be minions. It is only minions, that's why.
Ah, okay.
We haven't done that one for a while, Falk. It's since the old days of priests. And
Deal 2, of course, deal 2
turn your opponent 24 damage.
Oh no, sorry Twitch chat. I'm sorry. Yes, it's deal 2. You can target face, but it only heals if you target the face. That's where my confusion came from there. So if you were to target your opponent's face with it, it would just heal for 5. It wouldn't deal the 2 damage first.
Yeah, Sottle has waited 2 years for this moment.
I mean, it might depend.
Can't go face.
Again, it can go face, but it only heals if you hit face. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, any moment now, this Zephyrs will become active, and so will the match. Yeah, there we go. Curious to see what it will offer, just because it's got a choice of about 700 Hearthstone cards.
Your wish is my suggestion.
What's in the box? Which one of them will it give? They'll go for Holy Nova. That'll do. The other choice is Avenging Wrath, which was actually lethal as well through all the minions. the more stylistic way to do it.
Well, great.
1-0.
They take the first game, and it's just quite the tear that they're on against the United Kingdom, honestly. Obviously, Italy lost against Norway in the winners bracket, absolutely. But ball control and dead draw just cannot seem to catch a break against this team. They do not want to get swept again, that's for certain. Don't forget, to everyone watching, win and in, lose and out in this vital series of the Hearthstone Global Games.
Those warriors are lurking, Falk. Both sides got their warrior remaining. And United Kingdom won't really want that warrior matchup. I mean, there's not a lot in it, but Italy do have the Geppetto in their version of that. So, yeah, the Druid is looking pretty good for United Kingdom against the warrior. The Hunter's pretty okay. So,
Let the hunt begin.
they want to dodge that, but not the best matchup for game number 1. But now they're getting into their territory where the Hunter starts to do its thing. It's up against the...
Yes, we've seen this matchup quite a lot, and we've seen that the Hunter has so much removal and secret antics that it's difficult for the Priest to stick that big minion.
Yeah. The exact opposite of the last game, where the Druid can make endless 5/5s, and the Hunter says, no, slow down. The Priest can make 1 or 2 huge things, and the Hunter can just blow them up. Very different indeed. The secrets are really irritating as well for the Priest. Have to tiptoe around snipes and freezing traps. And as Boar there did actually keep the rat trap, that's also a big deal. Priest likes to do things in clumps. He likes to make lots of card draw in the same turn. And yeah, sure, you can do all that, but we're going to have a 6/6 for nothing because we're going to set it up on turn 2. There you go. Good luck, Priest. Now you've got to go around this. And not only... I mean, they've got a good idea. It's a good one. That probably snipe or rat trap because it was kept in the opener. But now they've really got to mess around worrying. And this is the Hunter's great power. It's not hard to play around Hunter secrets. It's hard to do it efficiently so you don't cost yourself a turn. And Priest needs those turns.
Exactly. The Priest needs to get onto the board pretty aggressively, pretty early. Maybe Armet is going to be enough to get some work done. There's no Deadly Shot present in the Hunter's hand at the moment, so Ball Control going to coin that out right away. Not going to play around a snipe, and does get rewarded for that for the time being. Oh, but Zephyrus drawn.
Yeah, it's you want to silence this if you don't kill it. You're a little bit scared of Psycho Pomp because you really want to silence the second one.
Oh, that's true. I was thinking Shadow Word Pain, but I guess you're right. Oh, that's really awkward.
Yeah. But you also don't want a 2/7 just chilling on the board, like you say. That's why Shadow Word Pain's a big option too. Especially when your opponent has this slow start. Psycho Pomp, or was it the Pompinator I heard somebody say? Was that you?
Yes, I think that may have been me, but I'm not completely certain.
You gonna confess?
I feel like it was
I guess
me in
you
the
can deal with it because you have a white card. Yeah, I wasn't casting at the time. I would have gone wild or something, but yeah.
Your wish is my suggestion.
So it looks like they are going to go for Shadow Word Pain and try and take down any potential problems with the board they've created. But they will be expecting Psycho Pomp quite strongly here, just because of the slow start the Priest has had.
I see a dark future.
They will be. I'm not sure how much it matters. Kill Command is interesting. It can play with Spring Paw. Like, yeah, there are ways that Ball Control can deal with this now. I was staring at Hounds, but now Spring Paw links and Kill Command is even stronger. This whole board dies really easily.
Yeah, just going to wipe out the opposition. And Priest doesn't come back from this very often. It needs Pyromancer, as we all know and love, to try and get out of it, but that's its only board clear. If it doesn't pick it up, in theory, you'd expect the Hunter to start going very wide very quickly. As we can see, at the moment, board doesn't have the heavy hand that you sometimes get in the mid-game. Those cards will start coming. From turn 6 onwards, the Hunter should start gaining control, given that it's not losing control. There's the Dino Tamer himself. Brand's a weird dude.
What's weird about Bran, Lorinda?
I mean, he spends half his time chilling out in Bob's bar, wrecking people in the battlegrounds. Then, when he's bored, he just goes out and tames dinosaurs and rides them around.
I want to play
why?
Dino Tamer Bran after playing original Bran and summon 2 King Crushers. That's what I want, Lorinda.
There you go. You get Golden Bran. Sounds like the worst breakfast cereal ever. One minion left, and it doesn't do much for the Italians here.
Let the pain speak to me.
Bran just seems natural here.
Yep.
Presumably just a bump into the Acolyte to stop accidents.
I like it.
You haven't quite got the face damage to finish it off.
Denying the
But then
priest
can they
card
even deal
draw
with it? Yeah.
is a surefire way of winning. However, ball control
Yeah, they can't deal with it.
sees the plays. Pyromancer not present in the hand. Even if it was, that King Crush isn't going anywhere. So Letta is going to start to dig for an answer.
I'm assuming Freezing Trap is the other trap that's up.
I think so.
Because otherwise, surely Boar would have traded, right?
What, as in to draw?
Yeah, because otherwise he could actually die here. It must be pressure plate or whatever. Lost trap.
Oh,
not
sorry.
pressure plate.
Ball control training. Yeah, it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, he must be Freezing Trap, otherwise he would have not gone face.
Of course. Yeah. Sorry, I'm with you now. Yeah, well, Rat Trap is the first secret. I remembered that one. But looks like this is going to be the Freezing Trap. And the face explodes from Team Italy as the United Kingdom finally do get a win on the board against Italy. This series, unlike the previous one, is not going to be a sweep. And we have a match now, Lorinda.
Yeah, their first game against Italy in 2 match attempts. And United Kingdom sitting pretty really because they do have this Druid, which, although it is a bit iffy against Priest, in fact, some people say it's a lot iffy against Priest, obviously just kills Warriors and is okay against the Priest. I think they're in a great spot.
All right.
But the argument the other way could be that the Priest is actually going against the Druid and the Warrior, I guess, but I prefer the United Kingdom side slightly here.
Well, we are not going to have to wait long to find out. Both teams have one win on the board. Both shielded decks have claimed their victory, but now we have the rest of the series to go. Who will make it out of the group? Will it be Italy? Will it be the United Kingdom? We'll find out in just a few moments. is 1-1 between the UK and France. One of these teams is going to make it
And
into
Italy
top
as
8.
well.
Oh my goodness, and Italy. Haha, that's funny.
Felt
Yeah.
stuck in the time warp of the UK-France match. He's just
Okay.
trapped in there forever. Never going to escape.
I've been playing with Time Tinkerer Toki too much. Between the UK and Italy, one of the teams is going to make it through, the other is out. But the top 8 of Hearthstone Global Games is calling. It's going to be Warrior versus Druid now. Uh-oh, don't worry, Lorinda. This is Malagos Druid, not any banker shenanigans Druid. So we are looking at what has to be a reasonably quick game here.
So what we do here as casters is we talk about, I don't know, car parks or something for 10 minutes, and then we start adding up frantically how many times can you add 10 to the same number and make it over 53. Because that's how much armor they usually have by about. And it always seems to be that the druid wins by about 3 damage.
When we get to a Warrior Mirror, if it comes up, Lorinda, I mean, Derek and I played a game of I Spy earlier with Twitch chat, which was good fun. So maybe we can partake in that one. But in the meantime, hopefully this game won't go on forever. For the Druid, it's about completing that quest and then drawing the deck, essentially. For the Warrior, it's about gaining as much armor as possible and preventing the chip damage that the Druid can deal as it ramps through the deck.
Yeah, the Warrior can, in theory, not that it very often does, just about get out of range, but it really doesn't want to miss any armor at all. And like you say, that chip damage, because of that, is absolutely huge. The Warrior can also sometimes get control of the board, but again, it's almost never. And hence the comment about talking about random stuff every now and again.
Casters talking about random stuff.
Yeah, I was sad not to have Derek's guess the number. I'm pretty sure I won it yesterday and he changed anyway.
Yeah, you think that you
guess the number game.
Despite the fact there were infinite possibilities, you think that you got it right.
Yeah, I mean, I typed in 2734116553, which he said was the number, and he just blanked me.
Okay.
No tomb can hold me.
I typed in about an hour after he did the competition and gave up the answer, but you know, I think I deserve points for effort myself. All right, Warrior has got a vague curve going, I guess, but look, double Oasis Surger into double Nourish. Take your pick, take your order you want to do it in, and it's looking fantastic for the Mali Druid already.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Yep, Turner has some stuff on the board, does have 36 armor, but it doesn't seem to matter too much as these Oasis Surgers are going to start trickling out 2 by 2, dealing a lot of damage to the board and eventually probably the face, given Turner's sort of lack of removal. Dynamic Plague of Wrath is one thing, Brawl is another, and then that's sort of it. And Dynamic Plague of Wrath costs 10 mana, so good luck doing that anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, do what you like. Curious to see how they do decide to optimize this. Just a quick shout out to Eyes of Ruby in chat. This is, of course, recorded. And we are from the future.
Yes, I am a recorded message right now. I actually recorded my casting, but your casting's live. I just predicted all of your responses.
I mean, it's not difficult, right? It's like, say something, oh, dad joke. Say something else, okay, dad joke.
What was that, Lorinda?
And
Fluked
repeat.
out some stuff onto the board.
Uh-huh. That's it. Oh, I haven't used that one for a while, actually. Thanks for that reminder. Right, that's a Super Collider, and that kills 5/2s. Great. Plenty of other options were available there. Dynamatic, they're just going to use the Mummy and play out that card too. That seems to be the best way to keep things on the board.
Yep, it's also an investment for later. Card suit being played means that when that N'Zoth gets drawn, it can be played straight away. The problem is, Turner needs to do more than stay at 30 health to win this one. He's going to need a heck of a lot of armor.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so painful for the Warrior trying to defend this. Did you see one of the teams yesterday, and I'm afraid it escapes me, just play a Druid mirror where we thought it was going to be really close all the way. I believe it was Hong Kong had just worked out exactly how the matchup worked. So always trying to keep my eyes on any weird plays that the teams make in these situations where you think they're not going to win, but very little option that the warrior has other than to just try to keep surviving and try and keep something on board.
Mm-hmm. Alright, can being played. Something that I think it was Derek earlier on in the game was confused why Kun was being held onto for so long because by the UK, because it led to almost them not being losing if they lost a 50-50, whereas if they played the Kun they would have always won. So it's nice to see this time the UK going on and actually playing that Kun at the first reasonable opportunity. It represents another threat. It's another big thing that Italy has to deal with, lest they take a lot of damage. Yeah, dead draw and ball control just going from strength
and
to
hand
strength
space.
in this game. Hand space as well.
Yeah,
that's
making
true.
hand space as well is really crucial. Saves those removal spells so they can go face with them. Because, like you say, they've got a big thing, so if they have to deal with a big thing, and while they're doing that, you're not having to deal with their stuff.
Hand space, arguably the most important issue that druids face these days. My goodness, it's a good job that the druid doesn't have the card that says increase your hand size to 12.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Don't give them ideas, Falk. Goodness.
I mean, to be honest, one class getting a minion, for a legendary minion from another class is not unheard of in this game.
Yeah, it's pretty interchangeable these days. I'm sure it will occur at some point.
45 health now for the warrior. So let's see, 2 Malagoses, 4 Moonfires is now not lethal. So they need 2 Malagos, 4 Moonfires, and a swipe for lethal now.
Which conveniently, they've got the equipment to do it with. Don't forget they've also got the Loti, which makes things even more irritating for casters to add up on their fingers.
Well, now, due to getting Turner back down to 33 again, 3 Moonfires with 2 Malagos is lethal, as they deal 11 each. And Dead Draw is going to keep dealing damage with his minions for the time being, so Turner needs to somehow put a stop to that. Rusty Recycler, honestly, isn't that relevant. None of these cards are great.
That's a really good spot. Oh yeah, Dead Draw being very antisociable here, just killing people with minions. How dare you do such a thing?
That's not the point of this deck.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen more Malygos Druid in general. Certainly, you pick and choose what you want to do with your Druid, and you only change 5 or 6 cards anyway. But the Moonfires do come in handy against Shaman and stuff like that from time to time. You can always go the Count Bees route if you want to do that, of course, as well. I mention this every round, I think, these days, but Turner, so much more the professional than he was 2 or 3 years ago. He was still very good back then, but very composed all the time these days. Certainly would want him on my team to keep me calm.
Turner is definitely one of my favourite Hearthstone players. He was a joy to hang out with for the two of us, actually, a little while back in Germany.
Yes. Yeah. Setting up various games, of which he got knocked out first. After a load of effort to set it up. That was a bit of a shame for him. But yeah, going to the Battle Rift finals, which was sort of the one major event outside of the Masters Tours last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, while you're waiting for your Florist, just kill your opponent. Seems to be a really good idea.
Kill your opponent, kill your own minions. you see that? So Deadjaw considered playing the Acolyte, playing the Starfall on his own minion before killing the Acolyte, but then decided he didn't want to give Turner the extra card. So there were some very interesting thoughts with the sequencing that turn.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we've seen it a few times now, but the Acolyte interaction with Starfall is very weird. In that the Acolyte doesn't die until the Starfall has double resolved, so you get 2 cards.
Well, I think he was looking at Starfalling his own minion anyway, and it was just the 2 damage to all enemy minions that would have hit the Acolyte. So yeah, there are some weird interactions there, but also, ultimately, Deadjaw's decision was, no, I don't want you drawing a second card from that. And with good reason. With only 32 health, Turner is not going to survive against this upcoming onslaught. And there's a very good chance of one of these Dream Pedoflorists hitting that Malagus. No.
There's a reasonable chance. There you
go. 1 each. Perfect. So, that is just lethal next turn.
Yes. Basically, 2 Malagosses and a load of stuff to point at the face.
Okay, then.
Seems good.
I'm counting 58 damage, Lorinda. And
Good
that's
for
not
you,
counting
pal.
and that's not counting the minions. So
I'm trying to work out how many turns it'll take to beat them down with a florist.
we'll see whose method gets there faster. Yours or mine and Deadjaw's.
Okay, then.
Pretty confident about this one. The deck looks so lovely when it works well.
Yes, it does. But this is the matchup the deck is for.
As you said.
Ball Control did say to me they'd specifically teched to beat Warriors, hoping to beat Warrior at least 2 out of 3 games per series. And this deck certainly is going to beat the Warrior most of the time.
Yep, and obviously the Warrior mirror is basically 50-50, not quite because of the Geppetto in Turner's deck, so they've got slightly better chance of Elysianas and stuff going on, but yes, it's still pretty good, and obviously the other 2 decks are there for the Warrior. There's a good call in this group. There was Warrior everywhere. In fact, every team basically brought the same lineup in this group. It's quite interesting. As I go through the motions now of just killing off the Italians for game number 3.
Alright, that is going to be it. Deadjaw, Ball Control, 2 wins up now, which again, comparing this to the first match against Italy, where Italy swept the United Kingdom, this is a vast improvement. United Kingdom find themselves 1 game away from qualifying into the top 8 of the Hearthstone Global Games, and all they have to win with now is their own Warrior.
Yeah, they made such easy work of that last time around.
Yep.
Bring it on!
Here we go!
I spy my little eye.
Well, Deadjaw has assumed the thinking position that he will be in for the next hour or so.
Something beginning with W.
I mean, most things begin with W when I'm talking.
I'll leave that one with you, Lorinda, and Twitch chat.
There you go, Restless Mummy.
No. To be clear, I was talking about the real letter W, not a Lorinda W.
Oh, okay, then I have no idea. Nice early hand here for the United Kingdom. Just going to be able to cause some early irritation with their board.
Yep.
The Hecklebot's a big deal, of course. That could just win the game.
We have the early excitement of Hecklebot, and I believe only the United Kingdom is running it, so that is a tiny, tiny little edge. They have both decks run Panda, Italy run Hakar, United Kingdom do not, but apparently Ball Control was saying that Hakar just doesn't matter too much in the matchup.
Yeah, it got irritating for them the other day the way it worked out, but it wasn't anything they could do about it. It's just they got behind on blood, so that was it.
It could just have easily been their own Hakar that caused that issue, as well as their opponents, right? Like, it doesn't matter which warrior plays the Hakar at the end of the day.
And just to point out that while we were talking about the uses of the Heckle bot, Elysiana was picked up by Italy. So
Yep.
there's some of our excitement just being ripped away from us.
Quite a lot of it, actually, as Thorassan has also already been drawn. And Thorassan being pulled out and then killed immediately can prevent Elysiana Panda things. But unfortunately for Deaddraw, that Hecklebot is going to have very little utility. It could pull out Panda.
Mm-hmm. Super.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what they do with Town Crier. Also interesting how they're approaching the Acolyte. Not scared to draw cards by the look of it. And these early turns are really important. Like, how much do you want to care about the fatigue, which is quite a big deal, but you usually find that Elysiana just sorts all that out anyway, one way or the other. Maybe we get the excitement of another Prince Liam. That was quite good fun yesterday, with the Bloods in the deck.
That is true. There are quite a few random legendary cards that can dramatically change the flow of this game. One of which, obviously, is another Elysiana. Prince Liam, as you just mentioned, can just delete the Bloods from inside your deck. That's very strong.
No tune can hold me.
And there's various cards you can get from Elysiana that either shuffle more cards into your deck, or just generally form a powerful board. So really, that I feel like that's sort of when this matchup begins a lot of the time, is when the Elysianas have been played.
Yeah, that you do have to keep an eye on it in case one team gets an advantage, especially around the time you're looking for the Elysianas. So to try and prevent the other team from playing their Elysiana, because if they do, they'll lose the board and die. But yeah, in general, for me, that's also when the game gets going. But it is interesting to keep an eye on what the United Kingdom are doing here, trying to get to their Elysiana before they get blooded, possibly. So thin out your deck, draw your Elysiana, because the one time they got defeated horribly was by Italy, and their Elysiana was sort of surrounded by Bloods, which meant they never got to get there.
No tune can hold me.
Reminder that the Emperor Thorassan in this deck, for those asking, basically reduces the cost of your Elysiana and your Youthful Brewmaster, amongst many, many other things. It's just a good card, which means that you can play Elysiana and Brewmaster on the same turn, so you've always got a second Elysiana for the mirror. The problem is that everybody plays the same build, so they've all got two Elysianas, and there needs to be an agreement not to play that Brewmaster. And like Falcone was saying, if you hit the Brewmaster with the Hecklebot, that might be a decent result to put you ahead in the Elysiana Wars.
Precision to perfection.
Sorry about that, Lorinda.
One thing that...
For a second, I'm back now.
Okay, cool.
By the power of Ragnaros, I have
You were missed.
You didn't even notice I left, did you?
No. So, I've just been rambling away quite happily by myself. Somebody's listening, good for them. If they're not, I probably won't even
please.
notice.
Go right ahead. There's a whole long game still for you to cast if you'd like.
I mean, I think this is going to be over on turn 7. UK just going to
Really?
play all their minions. Hit Italy really hard. No, not really.
I got excited I thought, wow, I've only been away for a few seconds. How did I miss something as dramatic as that?
Both sides trying to keep their hand size sensible. I do wonder sometimes, and I'm sure they're trying to, but if you can keep back a brawl or a good removal spell for after the Elysiana situations, you're in a good spot, because it comes down to arena mode, basically. And brawl's pretty good if you get behind in arena mode. The other big card, of course, Dr. Boom, picked up by Italy.
That is true.
Massive advantage if you get Dr. Boom down first.
Something that we don't necessarily talk about that much. You raise a very good point. Is how effective Brawl is after the Elysiana. Because as we've seen from previous games, even today, one team just running away with the board after Elysiana can make all of the difference. But as soon as a clear appears, things can change dramatically.
Yeah, and over time, we used to talk about it all the time, didn't we? The Dr. Boom situation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if one team gets it for that time, it changes dramatically. It takes a while for it to be noticeable, and then suddenly you find one team who just has all the cards, and the other team is starting to get sort of ground down.
What now?
I wonder how long the UK will keep their Hecklebot for now that they've seen the Thaurissan. So they know at least one of the two cards is in Italy's hand. It could have substantially good uses much later in the piece here.
Turner needs to do something to prevent too much of his health being chunked away by these minions. He could also do with getting rid of that Thaurissan, if possible. Is it really going to have to be Whirlwind Takeover? Yeah, okay.
They could maybe have delayed it one more turn. I think that's what the decision was last turn. To just do very little and then play down the Thaurissan on turn. Like the turn going into the Dr. Boom turn. But they were hoping that this would happen where it takes a turn to clear their board, and then there's another turn, and then they make another board. This isn't going to be the greatest, and Dr. Boom can probably just ignore it, but it is a thing. UK are behind by one Dr. Boom. They're trying to work out how to prevent that from happening.
I wonder.
Derek and I were talking about Dr. Boom earlier on today, and it's sort of relevant, but also sort of not that relevant anymore. In the world where N'Zoths exist, and generally pressure that these decks have is dramatically reduced. It's not like the old days where you could play Dr. Boom and just win through pressure, thanks to the strength of Delivery Drone, getting you all of these big warrior mech cards. Nowadays, Dr. Boom isn't quite as strong. The rushing into things doesn't matter because these decks aren't trying to control the board anyway. So really, it is kind of still a stalemate until that Elysiana gets played.
Yeah, the main reason is if you're going to go with the view that it's all about the Elysianas, what happens when it's a level Elysiana? They're both pretty reasonable, say. The person who's had 7 or 8 extra turns of Dr. Boom, at the end of it all, when it all unravels, is going to be in front. It gets lost in the shuffle a lot because, as you were describing, if one of you gets a good Elysiana and the other doesn't, none of the above matters. But sometimes you get a similar Elysiana to your opponent, and 7 or 8 extra turns of delivery drones and zapping things and slowly going through the motions will add up. It's just very hard to pinpoint where it added up, where it came from.
Light the fuses! There goes.
The least successful dynamatic ever.
What?
Just, I don't know. Just going half a minion for 1 minion.
Still lit them. He still lit them fuses.
Okay, it's fair.
I mean, it's fine, right? Like hero power to deal with the card 2, play the Alarma bot. No, I'm just kidding. You do not play that. Imagine Alarma bot just summoning Elysiana.
Alarma bot. Yeah. Well, we've seen it. It happened to Argentina in week 1.
Of course it did.
But then they got Holy Water and got it back anyway because they managed to kill Elysiana and
that game
sneak it back into their hand.
That game was absurd.
Yes, it was. It was one of the most ridiculous games of Hearthstone ever.
The Holy Water Elysiana saga, where it ended something like one turn away from turn timer. Yeah. Well, back on Dedrill's side of things, he's still got Restless Mummy if he did want to clear this board urgently, but honestly, not much is going on right now, and I don't know that it's even necessary to clear this board. Freeing up hand space is definitely something to think about.
I mean, I'm giggling because you're right, there's a lot of it feels totally pointless, but just tickling away, trying to be as efficient as possible.
It is literally going to be
without
hero
it
power
in some
pattern.
shape or form.
I said this a little bit earlier, I'll say it again. I don't believe this game truly starts until Elysiana gets played. Unless Turner plays a card, and then things can move on much faster.
This would be a good time for
This is just like the soup before the main meal. You order the soup of the day knowing it's just going to taste the same as all the other soup of the days. It's just got a different sort of vegetable in it.
So, if this is the soup, what were the first 3 games of the series?
No, this is the start of this before the Elysiana is the soup of this game.
Oh, okay. I guess the other games were different things, right?
They were different meals. They were like last night's dinner and, speaking in language that you understand for once, tea to me. But then people get confused because Brits and tea is a drink, which nobody drinks, but apart from Darrock. But yeah, this is like a soup, basically, a broth.
Okay.
Of some sort. And it's always pretty much the same, no matter how you stir in the different vegetables.
Well, I mean, sometimes one of the players accidentally tips it up and pours it all over themselves, I guess.
Yeah.
Just play too many cards, play too few cards. But yeah, napkins can kind of dab it up and prevent disaster. So that's pretty much what the state of the game is like.
Yeah. And I think this cast definitely needs a couple of napkins right about now.
There is a scenario in which one of the players actually does get some real tempo damage in and chunk away at the opponent's health. And that's the equivalent of one of the players grabbing the other player by the head and shoving his face into the soup.
I would love to see that right now. If Turner just got angry, reached down to below the Hearthstone Global Games logo and just dunked Deaddraw's head in his soup, that would certainly liven up the next few turns.
Alright, a card's been played. This may speed this game up, actually. As obviously, blood's being drawn is something that escalates over time.
Well, importantly, or at least relevantly, I think important might be overstating it, it's going to suck a removal spell out of the hand. So, UK are down a brawl now. That's one of the first significant, might be overstating it, but one of the first blows of the game of big relevance. And this Dr. Boom has been ticking along for 4 or 5 turns now, quite happily. So if you had to pick a side, you'd say that Italy are in the lead, but yeah.
Alright, time to start counting bloods.
Oh, Hecklebot's interesting as well.
Oh!
Oh, and it hits with the dot. That's a big deal, as you can see from Deaddraw.
Deaddraw are definitely not happy about that. So there you go, that was it. That was the face being shoved into the soup.
I think you're right. That's a good point. Face in the soup, and now
Deaddraw's gonna frantically try and grab for napkins and, dab his face a lot.
Rough it all up.
But without an Azoth to protect him later this game, Turner might actually be able to apply some pressure now.
Yeah, it's definitely not a killer blow, but just making things that significantly more awkward. It's a lot of stuff that Deaddraw doesn't get for one turn later on. Aliciana can still just swing it around. But just for the time being, that is going to be mighty irritating. That's definitely a bigger blow than having the Dr. Boom early. How do you respond when you get a face full of minestrone anyway?
That's a very good question. Well, I mean, it depends what company you're with. Like, if you're with close friends, maybe you can just laugh about it. If you're with strangers, maybe you're quite embarrassed.
You're with ball control.
Ooh. That does sound like an awkward situation.
I don't even know how he would react. How would ball control react if that happens? Like, he's pretty calm and reserved in person for the most part, but he has a pretty chaotic sense of humour. I imagine it'd be not so much embarrassing. I don't think he'd like look the other way and pretend he hadn't seen it, would he? He'd definitely let you know that this wasn't a good position for you to be in.
I agree. He would. I don't know.
11
Ball
cards
control.
versus 13. We're nearly at the good bit, guys, where Aliciana and things happen.
All right, let's get excited. Only a few turns to go, Lorinda, and then the game starts, or turns up. I would like to say the game turns up to 11, but that implies that we're at 10 at the moment. So I think maybe the game turns up to 4 or maybe 5 would be a more realistic assessment of this game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'd have walked out of the restaurant by now for this slow service.
Blood!
And once again,
Draw.
like the last rounds, UK starting to get the bloods first. Not good for them.
2 bloods in the UK's deck, so 2 out of 11 of those cards are bloods.
So the chat thinks that Dead Draw might be being coached in this team game. What do you reckon? Is he talking to his teammate or trying to go it alone?
Do you know what, Lorinda? Yeah, I think someone might be talking to Dead Draw. I think we need to work out what's going on here. This is the Hearthstone Global Games, everyone. It is a 2v2 tournament. Turner has a teammate, Dead Draw has a teammate. They are communicating with each other.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure that Dead Draw, as he has proved all year long, can cope perfectly well on his own. But if you've got ball control there who can help you out, I think you use that to your advantage. Dead Draw, one of the most successful players, came within one match of making it to Grandmaster himself. Twice. So, yeah. You can manage, but you've got a good teammate, you take advantage of that. Pointing out the more trivial things. I mean, this could be important later, using up a warpath. This Alarma bot, you're talking about maximum hand size in the new set going up by 2 for Warlock. It's gone down by 1 here currently for Italy. They can't play this Alarma bot. There may be a circumstance later where that can happen with some Aliciana cards. Get yourself a nice 10-10 for 3 mana. But for now and for the very foreseeable future, it's just a waste of a space.
Yeah, I mean, even when it is played, it's very, very difficult for Alarmabot to actually be good. I can't really think of any situation in Hearthstone's history where Alarmabot has been helpful in any way whatsoever.
What now?
Wasn't there some stupid Malygos Shaman thing or something once that tried to use it?
Are you thinking like as back as far as like closed beta?
No, but not far after that, maybe a few months after release.
Okay, maybe.
I think it's been used to cheat things before. But yeah, it's one of the worst combo cards ever.
Malygos does feel like one of the
But
few
it's
cards that you
interesting.
might actually be able to squeeze stuff out with.
Yeah. Because that deck didn't play many minions, so your Llama bot was kind of alright. I don't know. Maybe not.
All right,
Maybe
9
I
cards
just built
remaining
that
for
deck
Dead
and it was
Draw.
rubbish.
9 cards remaining for dead draw, 7 of which are real cards, the other 2 are bloods. So this game is starting to get to the point where dead draw and ball control have to consider Elysiana. The problem is, if they play it too soon, then it means their opponent gets ahead in fatigue.
Yep. And they still need their panda. Request for Jade cards to come back. What do you think of that, Falk?
Jade card. You were a huge fan of Jade, weren't you?
I was, yeah. My life for Aya.
I think I disconnected there for a second. I'm back. I
You
don't know.
probably were lucky. I say my life for Aya.
I wouldn't mind them returning for like a brief period of time, like the Doom and the Chin thing. I don't know if I'd want them back for like a full year or 2 years.
Yeah, that was kind of the implication, I think.
Okay.
We're getting ever closer here to waking up Hamset, who is desperately trying to hang on in there until the Elysianas are played. I think he'll make it.
Would you be looking forward to playing Jade Druid or Jade Rogue? Because I feel like now, with cards like Scheme and Shadow Step and all of that stuff going on, Jade Rogue could be quite good.
After all these years of trying to learn how to play Rogue, it has just eluded me completely. So I think I'll stick to the Druid, but I'll try the Rogue again. I think you're right. I think Jade Rogue would actually be really interesting with all the craziness it has now. But I just liked Jade Druid because I was that sort of person. Plus, I liked trying to get the different pictures of all the Jade Golems as they got bigger and bigger. So that mechanic coming back where you get different artwork for different stages of something, I definitely want that to come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, please, somebody do something!
Well, Dead Draw is hovering over Snipstat and letting it go, and hovering over it and letting it go, and hovering over it again. Oh, it played it! Okay, great!
Yeah, unfortunately, like, the interplay of what's going on does just get a bit lost after you've seen way too many N'Zoth Warriors. You've seen too many today.
Yes.
There's a lot going on. If you mess up, we saw a game where the United Kingdom got behind and you don't get back. You never get a chance to play your Elysiana. This is where the game's going these next few turns. You're trying to get a board and you're working with very limited bad tools that are all blunt and haven't been sharpened for a year or two, and the box is locked so you can't even get them out of the toolbox. But you are trying to set up a position where when it gets to Elysiana turn, you've got the board and your opponents can't take the damage from their Elysiana because they will take 16 damage from the board or something. But no N'Zoth, and Dr. Boom surely has done damage. Now look at the difference in the hand qualities for getting that Alarma bot. It's not a massive difference. UK have held on to a lot of removal ready for phase 2.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But they're out of other stuff to do now.
Dr. Boom has a very small impact slowly over time. An impact, sure. I'm just arguing that it's not a huge one. But I guess, yeah, the longer you have your boom and your opponents don't have the boom, the more of a sort of natural advantage you get. And things like this delivery drone, although not as powerful as it used to be, pre the Discover nerf, it's still more resources, isn't it? 7 cards left in the deck now for Dead Draw. 5 of them are bloods, and only 1 of Italy's cards are bloods.
Yeah, and the big danger is the UK don't get their Dr. Boom. That's when it gets really awkward, because if you both get a mediocre Elysiana, then the delivery drone starts to come into its own. At that point, they're going to need it, and if you haven't got access to it, and you haven't got access to zap their bad 4/3 minion they had to take from their Elysiana, it becomes a lot more apparent what the Dr. Boom is doing, and UK are going to hang on there as long as they can to try and get their Dr. Boom and their Panda, which they still haven't got either. But at some point, they're just going to have to bail because the Bloods will surely blood you.
Look at that brawl. Turner, having been holding onto the resources, decides that his hand is too large and he has to just play it. Oh, ho, two good options here. Whelp and Clockwork Goblin are both worth considering. Goblin essentially adds an extra blood to the deck, sort of. But does lose to Elysiana, but maybe it encourages the Elysiana to be played sooner, and maybe that's worth it.
Whelp's just good. Okay, you're right, they're going for this.
I think because of the timing. It's just because it's too early for Elysiana to be played, but then a good hand size to make it likely that something goes wrong. There's an extra blood shuffled in. That's now 3 bloods and 1 bomb in that 8-card deck.
And they draw a shield block, which means they have to walk the tightrope again.
4 bloods, 5
they've
bloods.
already seen this, and Dead Draw is just unimpressed.
6 bloods. There's
And
Dr.
Boom. Is it in time? Right, what can they do this turn to make sure they can play Elysiana next turn? Now they've got Dr. Boom, they don't have to slam it straight onto the board. They don't have the Panda, but I don't think they're going to get the Panda.
Out of that 10-card deck, 3 of the cards are real cards. The others are bloods and bombs. And Dead Draw cannot play Elysiana this turn. So the UK are going to take some damage next turn, more likely than not.
Yeah, another reason, as has been pointed out by Italian player Letta for last turn, was they just didn't want to be hanging onto the Whelp in their hand when their hand is full the whole time. They needed something to dump onto the board that turn.
And what's really cool about this from Italy now is by playing Nazar, it makes it very difficult for the UK to play their Elysiana because they just die if they play it. They didn't mill a blood. So now I think one of the cards is real in the deck. Well, 2 of the cards are real cards, sorry, in the deck. The others are bloods and bombs. Dead Draw cannot play Elysiana. He just dies to the board. There's still a Hakara alive as well, which would shuffle another blood into the deck after Elysiana gets played. I think that Italy have found checkmate here.
It is looking very much that way for me. There is a draw left for the UK, I believe, but I mean, I don't think they have any other option. Maybe dump the Pinata into the brawl and see if you can find something silly. Okay, just choosing to clear what they can, because this way they can clear up the death battles as well, the reborns.
Job done.
This is just a deck full of stuff now. Now, Italy don't have a follow-up this turn to put the pressure back on, but they do, of course, have their Elysiana into Brewmaster available to them if they want it. The danger if they don't take it is that the UK can try and set up the situation that Italy just had to worry about with their own Elysiana.
Sort of, but Turner has so much health.
It's not that menacing. Yeah.
Don't forget, Dead Draw's Nazoth was pulled out by the Hecklebot, so they've had a distinct lack of pressure this game compared to their opposition. And now the damage is likely to come in. 1.
Yeah, they have to drop Elysiana this turn, so if there's multiple bloods,
2.
obviously there will be.
3. Oh! 4! Okay, there's still a bomb.
I mean, you've got to play Elysiana or you'll die next turn.
Yes, there's 10 bloods and 1...
Unless you think
there's
Dr. Boom does something.
There were 10 bloods and 1 bomb and 1 real card in that deck. So, Dead Draw had to play Elysiana here, there was no question.
Look at this. Amazing stuff. There is an Ancient Brewmaster there, so that might come in handy if they can reduce the costs later.
Oh,
Get yourself another Elysiana. But this has been a whole bag of spanners so far.
Oh, God. Oh. Maybe you bounce Elysiana and play it again immediately. Like this, that was awful.
Drink with me, friend.
That was pretty grim.
The best card in those packs was Wisp.
Wonder when Wisp is coming to Battlegrounds.
As
Golden
Italy-
Wisp, Naught Mana 2/2.
Amazing. Okay. Italy now have 2 bloods in their
This
deck,
story deserves a new ending.
which
And now they have none.
well now they have none. Yeah.
I mean, this is
I
just
mean-
so much better than anything
Oh,
you can get.
look!
Oh my goodness,
Look at all these
Sionis in a
legendaries!
warrior.
What? Body wrapper? That's premium. Frightened flunky? Also premium.
This pinata has got a lot of work to do.
Drink with me, friend.
I think you're right. I think
Ah.
if they get the chance, UK are going to play second Elysiana.
But when are they going to get the chance? They don't have cards good enough to compete with Turners at any point.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
It must be so relaxing not to actually just take 3 damage when it's the start of your turn.
Only 3. If you're only taking 3 damage in their position, you're a very lucky man, Lorinda.
Yeah, sure, that would have been about 33, I think, or 30. I was leaving you to do the counting. Counting isn't my strong point. I don't really have a strong point.
God. Yes, you do.
Job's done.
What an absolute selection.
We got some 8/3s with Divine Shield and Rush.
So as it stands, not a lot Turner can do to really force too much onto the board. And now there is.
Never skip decay.
Go Shovel Fist. Show that town crier who's boss. Who's crying now? I'm not crying, you're crying, etc. Right, looking pretty bleak here for the United Kingdom. It's looking pretty bleak for my career if this game goes on much longer as well.
I mean, there's not too much the Dead Jaw can do about this. That's the problem. Tomb Warden is mildly defensive. Safeguard is kind of okay. Tomb Warden Hero Power is looking like the best they've got, unless they want to go for a Brawl or a Plague of Wrath. I guess Pinata into the 4/6 Plague of Wrath clears some of the board. This clears slightly more of the board, just doesn't get the random legendary. Yeah, Plague of Wrath. There's no Whirlwind to follow it up with though, so Deadjaw is about to get hit by a bunch of 1/1s.
Yeah, and he's on 9. And they have a Gore Howl in hand.
Well,
Not quite lethal, I don't think.
nope. Gorehowl is 7. The damage on the board is 7. So 2
At least
off.
just playing Bloodlust here. Oh my goodness. They say this Brawl the whole game for this.
Deadjaw shakes his head when he sees that Gorehowl. Okay. Starting with a 0 mana
The trouble is
taunt.
they need to freeze the casting cost, then play Brawl, then cheat and play it for 0 mana. And they're good. Just win the Brawl. Easy.
This would be a good time for a
It is, isn't it? It's just play the 0 mana, play the safe, Brawl, and just get lucky.
I agree, Dr. Boom. This would be a good time for a master plan.
Well, Dead Draw is a master. He has come top 8 at 2 master tours, so Dr. Boom's talking to the right guy.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Don't even think it, Mechathune people.
Nope, 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 no, nope. I've gone from finding it cute and sort of laughing a little bit whenever anyone's condition in a matchup like this, to outright getting frustrated when it comes up.
Irritatingly, there was a match yesterday where it really was the only way they could win. They never got it.
Well, that plague of round
Like,
is going to spell the end of the game. Turner takes the second win for Italy. The score is 2-2. We are going all the way live for this decider match in this series. Italy and the United Kingdom. There's only space for one of them, and it's going to be Warrior versus Priest that decides, Lorinda.
Yep, for me, a slight advantage for the Priest. I don't think... One of the things about this Shaman meta is that a lot of the other matchups haven't been tested quite as much because people are playing Shaman all the time. If they're not playing Shaman, people are still playing Shaman against you. So arguments are still around for what beats what a lot of the time. But I think personally that the Priest is just a slight favourite here by virtue of the fact of sometimes it just kills you. Sometimes there's just no game. It
can just kill you. I think you get to a point quite early on in the matchup where if the warrior has sort of survived to the removal turns, it's very difficult for the priest to do anything. Again, we're talking about a class that can't do anything after a certain point. But either way, before we do get to this final game, we're going to go to one last little break. But when we come back, the fate of Italy and the United Kingdom here in HGG will be decided. One game remains in this vital series for the United Kingdom and for Italy. It's going to be Priest versus Warrior. We can only have one winner, unfortunately, as much as I would love to see these two teams qualify. But Lorinda, what do you think? Italy, United Kingdom, which team is going to make it through?
Pretty much too close to call with the priest
Yeah.
versus the warrior, but just edging it on the side of the priest. I don't think the skill level of the teams will make much difference in this one. Fairly well researched matchup in some ways in terms of how to play, at least. I don't think that we necessarily played enough games to know exactly what the percentages are. It's going to be largely down to how Italy's opening hand looks.
Well, there's a light one.
Certainly not the hand they're looking for. Shield Slam might be handy for the United Kingdom. You can kill a cleric in 2 turns with that.
Yep. Letter going to throw
3
everything
turns.
but the Psycho Pump and does not get rewarded. No Cleric, no Tolvir, no Blade Master, no Pyromancer, and no Circle of Healing. Not a great start for Italy.
Yeah, and Restless Mummy is obviously the big deal for the UK here as well. You can take down nearly everything with this. If they try to do the buff my cleric to 5/5, hit you within a fire trickery, then that just stops that. They did keep the Acolyte of Pain. That's interesting to me.
Job's done.
Yeah, nothing doing here at all for Italy. And that's going to... Oh, Shield Slam. United Kingdom are going to be in a great spot now. As long as they can kill the first 2 or 3 things, no Amet coming off the top might be a big deal too. United Kingdom are in a good spot.
Life is an afterthought.
They certainly are, and it's less because of what they have and more because of what the priest doesn't have. This is just one of the most dry priest hands that I've ever seen.
Job's done.
United Kingdom willing to take it kind of slow here. They're challenging Italy to come in with a 6/6, which is fine because they kill it off with the mummy. But
Hey, I got you, friend.
yeah, they're going to go bigger to play around that, and a 10/10 is a lot more difficult to deal with.
True. Hard to call this a dry hand now, as United Kingdom have got a serious amount of work to do. But, you know, come turn 5, Plague of Wrath would help out, but even that silence denying the card draw does make things difficult for dead draw. Elysiana isn't going to do anything, so Restless Mummy is 6 damage, the Acolyte is 7, puts it down to 3. Ziliak's next turn would finish the job, but there's healing to worry about.
Yeah, the silence is an interesting one there. I think it's probably right, but we can see the cartoon, and that would be lovely to have that silence available to get your last few points of damage through that cartoon.
True, but I guess Italy's hoping that the game's over by then.
Mm-hmm. No, indeed.
Consider.
By the
Even
way,
Ziliax will put up a 2-turn wall.
anyone still here from the start of the Warrior Mirror? The W I spied was Wardrobe. That's Wardrobe, and it's behind Dead Draw.
So it wasn't Restless Mummy.
Definitely wasn't Restless Mummy. Thanks for playing, everyone.
Yeah, well done to the winners. This is really good for the United Kingdom, but Amet into Psycho Pump means the game is nowhere near over just yet, although 2 cartuts is definitely a big deal.
I don't know if it quite goes as far as nowhere near over. It's kind of like the last hurrah for Letter, unless he can pick up an Northshire Cleric at some point soon. And there's a brawl now, so Cartoots can defend for now. One silence has already been played, so you don't need to worry too much about being killed through the Cartoot. In fact, they only run one
that's
silence,
a very good
so
point.
there, that's it. Cartoot goes up, Deadjaw doesn't take face damage this turn. Simple.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to take it this turn. They're just going to make sure they don't get overrun by maybe, I don't even know, Bonsami maybe could get it done with a Psycho Pump Amet.
Well,
They
the
don't
thing is,
actually have any good ways of killing these things outside of the brawl.
well, yeah. I mean, as soon as they get over them, once they play Brawl, in the meantime, they just play Cartoots, and Letter is going to have to keep putting more resources into the board because the Cartoot is going to take, quite a few attacks. Letter wants to deal damage to the face. This looks somewhat safe for the United Kingdom at the moment. Letter really needs a Northshire Cleric. Or something, some way to just generate more resources. One Someday would be the dream draw, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, from where we're sat, I think you're dead right. But where the United Kingdom sat, they know there's no cleric, but you don't know what the other two cards are. They could be Circle of Healing Pyromancer, for instance. So you've got to make sure that you try and end it fairly quickly in terms of killing off minions, because if the cleric comes to play and your opponents draw 6 cards, they might have one last hurrah in them that can just get it done. But yep, nothing different to what you said, basically. They can't really adjust for that anyway right now. Their hand kind of does what it does. The big deal is keeping the Acolyte, which actually got silenced, which is interesting on many levels to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the danger of seven health minions that can come about. And the real danger is what you're scared of is if this brawl goes okay, that's fine. But if your opponent somehow gets more stuff afterwards, let's say the Amit wins the brawl.
Yes, that's the worst case scenario, isn't it? Amit wins, you end up with the 2/6 and the 2. Well, but both 2/6s, right? Because the reborn minion ends up as a 2/6 as well. That is absolute alarm bells going off. Worst case scenario.
And the United Kingdom haven't had that much luck with their warrior deck, and although that shouldn't matter, especially with somebody as stable as Dead Draw on your side, even if Boar is a little bit tilty at times, although he's very much more professional than we make out, you start to think, well, what happens if they do that? You start expecting all the worst cases to actually happen, and you've got to not think like that. But sometimes it's easier said than done.
Not going to rely on the brawl just yet. Going to sort of hope that you can survive one turn without it. And realistically, it's pretty difficult for Letter to find lethal here. Even Divine Spirit Inner Fire is not actually lethal. Divine Spirit Inner Fire wouldn't do it. So Deadjaw
they've
is
seen one of each
safe.
already.
Yep.
So they know that the chances are that that's just not going to happen.
I must
Yep. Letter is very much on his last legs here. Northshire Cleric, still possibility. Now with the Pyromancer and Circle in hand, now is the time to draw that Northshire Cleric.
Yes, it's all there. I was talking about the Pyromancer and healing, and they appeared as if by magic. Just like the shopkeeper would. Which you won't get.
Ooh, shield block is really nice alongside that shield slam. If he wants to, Deadjaw can deal with the Armet now. Or again, he's relatively safe to just drop the second Cartoot Defender. It eats up at least 2 of these attacks, and the chance of Letter having lethal after that still incredibly low.
Yeah, very difficult for these players, of course, waiting to hear the commentary so that they can work out what play they're supposed to make, according to chat. And we had to plant Sottle there at just the right moment as well to help us out. They've made this kind of interesting for themselves.
Is it now that Sottle appears in the chat? I didn't see that in the script, of course.
Yeah, I've lost track of when
Yes,
he's supposed to
this
appear
is
when he's not.
definitely live, and Sottle is in the chat right now. Thanks, Lorenzo.
Shades of last year when we just didn't know where Sottle was going to be at any given time.
Still no Cleric for Letter there. Just another card to heal his stuff. honestly, Letter still has a board. It's not all doom and gloom as long as Deadjaw continues to not play any removal. He's getting in the damage bit by bit, but I think Ball Control and Deadjaw just do have a careful grip on this game in that they know sort of where the breakpoints are. They know how much damage Italy can deal, and they're playing around that. They're playing around like any realistic outcome.
Yeah, I think that's correct. It's looked like, because they've been preserving this brawl for the longest time, there's been points of it where I've not been sure if they've like out-clevered themselves by trying to hold on to this brawl too hard. I think you're right, and I think they've done it right, but at times it just looks really awkward and weird. I feel like some of my casting. Because they haven't really advanced their chance of the brawl going their way. And yeah, they seem to be in as much mess as they would have been if they'd just brawled and got it over with the cartoons.
Sorry, Derek, it's also really distracting me in chat right now. Okay, there's the brawl, and finally gets played. Letter ends up with 2-7 and a 2-1, which is just not much damage at all.
Well, for now, but a Northshire cleric can soon change this around now. Obviously, Nazoth is just the big deal now, though. Yeah, I like this. An injured minion on the side of a priest is a scary thing.
How Letter gets past that Nazoth, I do not know, honestly. He's continuing to put out sort of little mid-tier puny threat after puny threat, realistically. But here you go, full board of cartoons coming out. Panda gonna bounce that Nazoth back next turn. And Letter still no Northshire Cleric. That's a second circle of healing.
Yeah, they don't get through this, though. So well navigated from Deadjaw and Boar, I think. I trust them to navigate it well. Deadjaw looks absolutely done, by the way. He's been sat in front of this warrior for like 400 hours or something during this group.
I mean, Deadjaw
Boar's like,
has...
I'll play the shaman deck. We'll be fine. You play the warrior. We'll be good.
Deadjaw has, in theory, been playing for as long in this sitting as I have been casting, and yeah, I'm not surprised he's tired. Being the person playing and actually having to make the decisions, my goodness. At least he's got help from ball control. What have I got? I've got you.
Haha. Deadjaw's got help from bouncing back his Nazoth. This is where you just keep playing cards slowly, like deliberately one every few seconds in case your opponent just wants to give up. Rather than firing all at a time. It's like, now? How about now? Snip snap? Extra snip snap? But obviously, it is the Hearthstone Global Games. It means a lot to Italy, this event. Letter and Turn are going to fight it out to the death. But this is the death. They give it up. And the United Kingdom scramble their way into the top 8. Alongside Norway, who seem to have got there a million game hours ago from this group.
What a series from the United Kingdom one more time. Incredible performance from Italy. Italy did sweep the UK in their first matchup in the group. They narrowly lost to Norway, I believe, and then fought it out tooth and nail against the United Kingdom one more time. But Ball Control and Deadjaw make it through. They have made it to the top 8 of the Hearthstone Global Games, and we will be seeing them again after the expansion comes out in just a couple weeks. Really exciting stuff from this group in general. But Lorinda, we are not finished today. You won't believe me necessarily, as we are 4 hours in, but we aren't even halfway through the series coming up today. We are now going to move on to Group A, where we have 4 more fantastic teams coming up. I am going to step off for a little lie down, but Derek will come in and replace me in just a few moments. We'll be here all day, folks. More Hearthstone Global Games coming up after this.